You're now listening to the Garage Guys Fantasy Sports Podcast.
Welcome to episode 153 of the Garage Guys Fantasy Sports Podcast, brought to you by Drip Drop ORS. Drip Drop ORS was invented to treat dehydration in the most challenging circumstances. Dehydration has a profound effect on your health, mood, and performance. Used by top hospitals across the country, Drip Drop ORS is safe enough for everyday use and powerful enough to help battle dehydration in the most challenging circumstances. Used by athletes, firefighters, military members, the Garage Guys, NASCAR fans, and right now, Drip Drop is out there on the front lines making sure that hospitals and patients that have been affected by COVID-19 are getting hydrated and getting well and better. There is not another company that I would want to say Garage Guys is working with as good as Drip Drop right now. Just really out there just doing God's work. Amazing product as well, and we want you to try it. If you get over to dripdrop.com today, you can use promo code GarageGuys20. You'll save 20% on your purchase. And for the time being, if you get over to my Twitter page at GarageGuyChase, you can check out my pinned tweet, give that a retweet, and I will be mailing you a pack of Drip Drop to try for yourself. May even throw in a sticker or a nice little handwritten letter that's almost like barely legible. So there's always that. But guys, it's episode 153. There has been a lot to talk about, so much to chat about. There's so much happened on Easter night. We're trying to figure out if Jesus is proud. I say no. It's been a really weird Easter, and just the fact that we are all isolated in quarantine doesn't help. We had a little bit of iRacing action and some crazy stuff that happened at an iRace on Sunday night. And, of course, WestWorld Season 3, Episode 5, the show titled Genre has dropped. I will be recapping that. But guys, we got some news. Young boy Drew, our grandpa Drew, we don't really know what to call him. He's passed out once again. So Sleepy Drew will not be making it onto the show. Thought I was going to be rolling solo. And then, like a phoenix rising from the ashes, one man grinds on the computers. He makes race car schemes, and he makes badass ones at that. Guys quickly becoming iRacing and just paint scheming legend on Twitter. It's none other than Mr. Noah Sweet, better known as Lefty, has decided to hop on and join us. Noah, how are you on this fine Easter Sunday?
I'm doing just fine. How about you?
I'm doing good, man. Dude, thank you so much for being a part of the show, man. I know it was kind of last minute, but it's better late than never, as we like to say, because I know you've been a very, very busy boy.
Oh yeah, big time, big time busy. It's just been kind of grind away at everything. It's just a matter of getting everything done at this rate. It doesn't matter when.
Right, man, dude, exactly. Like I know when I first reached out to you, whenever you designed the Garage Guys, the Chevy Camaro, the first car that I reached out to you were kind of just getting in the groove. You had some big stuff happen before then, and then when I ended up seeing your Twitter page, I was like, man, this dude makes some fresh ass paint schemes. I was like, I got to hit this guy up. And then since then, it's just when everything happened with coronavirus, iRacing boom took off. Like you've skyrocketed. So it's got to be amazing. And we're definitely want to hear that story, and we'll definitely chat about that. But I think we got to address the elephant in the room. The big news of Easter Sunday happened late Sunday night. There was a iRace being put on. I think that one of your cars was in it. Landon Castle and Garrett Smithley put on a iRace event at Monza, which is very different. And it's like more of a F1 track, right?
Yeah, it's the old oval circuit that they had like in the 60s. That's closed off now, but iRacing had it scanned. It was actually Carb Cup's last race that they were doing last week, and it's it's a difficult track.
Right. We know there was PR carnage, and we'll definitely discuss that. But was there like how bad? I didn't get to watch a lot of the race. I don't know if you got to tune into it. But the promo that Landon put up earlier on Twitter, it looked like there was a lot of wreckage that goes down at that place.
Yeah, if any of you guys have played Wreckfest, it was pretty much the iRacing version of Wreckfest. I think everybody in the race had on average about 10 incidents. It was definitely not professional looking, but it definitely was fun to watch nonetheless. It definitely looked like a carb cup race.
Oh man, yeah, and for the Carb Cup, I'm like I said, I'm just learning about iRacing. A lot of our listeners, we definitely have NASCAR listeners. We have a lot of football, NFL guys that listen and girls that listen to the show too. Carb Cup races, that's for more like the beginners for iRacing, correct?
Yeah, for everybody starting out to advance your rank and whatnot. I've only gotten to Oval Class D. Usually I end up midway through the pack in qualifying and end up getting taken out in some unconventional way. But
Like
yeah,
the 6-year-olds that like try to whip in and just like check this out. I'm just gonna like get up under his car and let him drag me around, like stuff like that. Does they have a lot of that
yeah,
happen?
they exactly. Yeah, they don't know. Yeah, they don't know how to hit you square on the backstretch. They take you out, or someone's using a controller and can't stay straight and hold a line. It's usually a mix of both most of the time.
Right. And we know that these races aren't going anywhere, but we're seeing a lot of these cup drivers now that the iRacing Pro Invitational has been such a hit over the past few weeks, airing live on Fox, getting over 1 million views. We're seeing a lot more events go on through the week. I know that Ryan Vargas has another e-truck night in America. We're excited. Ronnie Osmer is going to be running the Garage Guys Chevy Silverado. So we're pumped about that. One of your schemes going to be rocking and rolling again. And of course, we have our Monday night races, Erska. So tonight, you guys be sure to tune in on Sim TV, SYM, over on YouTube. You'll be able to watch the race. I think we're going to be at Dover. So we'll have Kenny and Kyle Lowry. Kyle will be on the Twitch stream this week in the Drip Drop #2 Toyota Supra, another fine beast that you created. And so we're going to be really excited. I know that I hope to see all you guys all the listeners out there be tuned into that, and we'll be doing some streams and on Lugnut's Hub as well. We'll have Lugnut being the spotter for Kyle. But you got so many of these big drivers. Well, getting back on topic, so much to talk about. Good Lord. You think that when sports would quit, that everything would be pretty null, but like no, it's quite the opposite actually. When you start dipping into all the other esports and things. But we had Kyle Larson enter into this race at Monza, and of course Landon Castle and Garrett Smithley put it on, and there was some really disturbing stuff that went down on a Twitch stream, and I wasn't watching the race, but I found out about it. And for those of you that haven't seen it yet, Kyle Larson thought it would be a cool idea to use a racial slur on a live Twitch stream with a shitload of followers, knowing that there's definitely people on NASCAR Twitter that would be watching. And it did not take long at all for somebody to tweet about it. Of course, I see it. You want to get these words out because it's not okay whatsoever for anybody to use that type of language or say that type of stuff. And I expected better from Kyle, man. I don't know. How were you taken by this news?
Of course, when I first saw it, I mean, I'm on Twitter all the time looking at trends and stuff like that, see if anybody's like looking at paint schemes or whatnot or something I can hop onto. And when I started seeing it, I thought people were just, memeing. I thought it was a joke. But then I started seeing the Twitch clips. I started seeing all the evidence. And at first, I was wishful thinking. So I'm a very wishful thinker. I thought he was saying something along the lines of, "Hey, Kligerman," and maybe he let his finger off the push to talk button and it cut him off and it sounded like he said, what he said. And after a few hours of people investigating and poking through different streams and different clips, it definitely sounds like it's what he said. It's unfortunate.
Oh, dude, hands down. Like I knew the moment that I watched the video, hearing it, because like it reminds you of like when you're a kid and you're on Call of Duty at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and like some like arrogant little white kid just starts saying it, and then you're just like this is the most ignorant shit I've ever heard, and you get off the stream or whatever. But it's like this is a grown ass man. Like this dude is like I think he's a year younger than me. I think he's like 27. You're a grown ass man, and you're a professional race car driver. You got your dream job, literally. you got two huge sponsors. You got to literally have a bank as your sponsor, and you have the largest fast food franchise as your sponsor, and you go and fuck it up over an iRace on Easter Sunday by saying something that maybe he thought it was funny. And that's the only thing that I could judge that as, because but when he hit him with the hard R, Noah. And when you hit him with the hard R, like that's when it's real. Like that's when it's like, okay, like, I mean, it's real either way around, but it's like that's when it's like the next level. And of course, NASCAR does not need that kind of attention, because I feel like we as NASCAR fans have come so far to like get away from that stereotype, and we've made so many like changes and strides, and then just to get like fucking punched in the face like this. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's shitty, and you hate to see it. And now we just got to sit back and see what's going to happen with Chip Ganassi. But I mean, if I'm going to go ahead and make my speculation, I mean, it's very, very easy for me to say that we're going to be seeing him let go from Chip Ganassi.
Yeah, I mean, I said just about the same thing on Twitter a couple hours ago about how like we were just rebounding from that whole kneeling situation and NASCAR having politics brought into it, along the lines of, a bunch of political Twitter accounts just tagging NASCAR with like, excuse me, like 5-year-old articles about NASCAR with the Confederate flag in the infield and stuff like that. So I'm expecting that hellstorm tomorrow morning. But
Right.
we've been trying so hard to step away from that kind of reputation. And I've been going to the races out of Michigan for like 4 straight years now. I've gone to the June race and I've gone to the August race. I've been in the infield for at least, I think, 3 times out of all those. I'm telling you, not a single Confederate flag. I know it's Michigan. I know it's pretty northern. I don't go to the Talladega races. I don't go to all the races in North Carolina, so I don't know what it's like there. But from what I'm told, like NASCAR has such a it's trying to shift away from that cultural, what word? I don't know. It's late.
Yeah, just yeah. I know, dude. And I know what you mean, and the listeners know what you mean too. Like, you're trying to get away from just like that dark time in history, basically, like where that was like an acceptable thing. Like, you turn on the movie Days of Thunder, first thing you see at Daytona, like the first scene of the fucking movie is literally our big ass Confederate flag. Like some
Yeah.
dude standing on the fucking, like on the trailers, and it's like, that goes into that whole heritage not hate shit. Like, I don't believe that. Like, I'm from the South, dude. I was like, my family's from a town that was like one of the most racist fucking towns. Like, I grew up despising where I lived. Like, and so, you're around a lot of these people and these old dogs. You have a lot of old dogs in the sport of NASCAR. They don't want anything to change. They see it one way, but it's like people like me and you, and a lot of these younger fans of the NASCAR YouTubers, and a lot of the content people, like ourselves with Garage Guys, and you got a lot of other people out there that's doing great things. We can keep that Southern heritage. Like, yeah, you're gonna see me at a racetrack wearing like jorts, like cut off shorts and shit, and like just like with the mustache and the trucker hats. Like, I'm gonna be repping that shit. But like all the other stereotypical shit that comes with that doesn't have to belong. You can differentiate that stuff. And you say you've never been to Talladega. There's definitely your people that are flying rebel flags and shit at Talladega. But the beauty of it is that when you actually go there and you're in the infield, it's all love, man. Like, everybody at Dega for the past 2 years that I've been going, like, dude, it's very diverse out there. Like, it's not like just a white fest by any means, but like there's culture there's it's blending. Like, everybody's blending, and there's new fans coming into it of all different races. And so for Kyle to go and do something like this, like, it's selfish, because like he doesn't only reflect him and his brand, and people can say that all day long, but the media is going to use it as a collective, and that's what hurts.
Yeah, exactly. The big issue with NASCAR is of course what we've been talking about. It's got that cultural kind of bias. We're automatically, stupid rednecks all the
Right.
time. But because like if this would have happened in the NFL, NFL player would have said this, hockey player, basketball player, the entire brand, the entire association wouldn't be labeled as stupid, racist rednecks if one of the players said that. But here in NASCAR's case, it's a different story. It's unfair, and unfortunately, the the culture that we took on in the 90s when NASCAR got super popular. They stuck with the country, they stuck with the good old boy, they stuck with the rednecks, they kind of stuck with that kind of Confederate flag culture that NASCAR just can't really find a way to get away from it. They can't be modern pop culture. They can't be, something close to what basketball or football is, because we're kind of stuck with what we started with. And it's
Right.
it's unfortunate. We just can't change it.
That's the hope though, man. Like, coming in, me growing up as a NASCAR fan, like, definitely, I grew up around all that stuff. I was in the 90s, I've been to a race where I got to watch Gordon and the Rainbow Warrior go against, Dale Earnhardt Sr. So, I mean, like, I'm fortunate to be able to say that I got to live through that era. But, like whenever I decided that I was going to take on NASCAR and kind of, be able to balance fantasy football and NASCAR, get back into a sport that I really loved, that's one of my goals, and that goal's not going anywhere, man. Like, you got to bring culture into this sport, pop culture. You've got to bring different music. You've got to bring different people. You've got to do different things, and you can still keep that vibe. Like I said, like when you go to certain racetracks like Talladega, like if you don't, it's almost a sin not to buy a pair of jorts and go to Talladega. Like, I will
Yeah.
say that. Like, yeah, like if you ever come to Dega with us, like me and you were supposed to be at Dega in April,
Yep.
in
Exactly.
another week from now. That's crazy. Like, me and you were supposed to be meeting up there, and but we're not going to get to do that now. But we'll have another chance when that time comes and when all this stuff gets straightened out in our country. But I'll definitely be bringing you a pair of jorts, man. Don't worry, I got your back.
I don't worry. I've already got like two pairs of them. Don't worry about that
Oh,
part.
he's ready. He's ready. Okay, we're good. But you can do that, and then like, who's to say why can't we have like a fucking music festival in the infield? Look at the Snake Pit at the Indy 500. They had Skrillex, man. Like, that's the kind of shit that I
Yeah.
want to see in NASCAR. It's good
Yep.
to have country and shit like that and all that, but at some point, like, let's move it forward.
Yeah. See, like up where I am in Michigan, we've got faster horses at MIS. It's like one of the biggest country music festivals like in the nation. It's crazy. And with that, that brings another thing for the whole cultural thing. Everybody in my high school always regarded that festival as extremely trashy and really disgusting, even though because everybody has this really bad stereotype on like country and good old boys and whatnot nowadays. It's almost like synonymous to like hate country music now.
Yeah. Yeah, and the all the new country music hasn't helped that, like Florida Georgia Line and shit. Like all that pop country and the glamour, wearing diamonds on your ass and shit with affliction jeans. Like, I don't know. I can't really get behind it, but it is what it is. But people like what they like, and I'm the kind of guy where I'm like, to each their own. But there are certain boundaries that should not be crossed, and in where we are today, like we're trying to progress as a society. And like I said, getting in more into what's going to come of this and kind of speculation. I was doing some reading, and it states in the NASCAR rule book, the section on conduct lists a public statement or communication that criticizes, ridicules, or otherwise disparages another person based upon that person's race, color, creed, national origin, gender, sexual orientation, marital status, religion, age, or handicapping condition, as an action that could result in a fine and or indefinite suspension or termination. And that's in the NASCAR rule book. We saw Bubba Wallace get suspended, another one of your paint schemes, driving the Blue Emu 43. He rage quitted a game after he got wrecked, and he lost Blue Emu just like that. And then we
Yep.
had some tweets that came out. I got by one of the tweets that you quote tweeted. I'm pretty sure. Were you behind that joke?
Which one?
So there was one about how they were suing Bubba Wallace, and
Oh yeah, it was the Adam Slurn account. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm not gonna lie to you, that had me for like 5 minutes.
yeah, I got because I saw
Yeah.
you quote tweet it. I'm like, oh shit, well, he made the fucking paint scheme. I was like, so obviously this is some real shit. I wasn't even checking for the blue check, and
Yeah.
I'm like, oh damn, this is crazy. Like, we made all of our jokes about it. We gave our ha-has at Bubba, but like for a company to do that, I was like, whoa, that's crazy. But we found out it was just a joke. That's not really happening. But with him losing a sponsor just over that, like, this has got to be the end for him. And he made a statement back when he won the Chili Bowl. And I know that we don't need to be joking about shit like this because it is a serious thing, but like, I got to get this in, man. He said, when he won the Chili Bowl, he said, "This is better than winning the Daytona 500." And now he gets to live his life back in the dirt. So that's good. It's good for him in that aspect because
Yeah.
you probably never get a chance to win a Daytona 500 anymore. So,
Yeah, and it's not to say that the whole dirt thing may have an effect on it too. I mean,
yeah.
it'll affect everything, I'm sure, but
Oh yeah, dude. He's
he'll have to find a
blackballed.
lot of people. Yeah, he'll have to find a lot of people that are close to him if he wants to get more opportunities. If this doesn't blow over for him.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of controversy in NASCAR history, man. I mean, you remember with the Tony Stewart stuff. I don't know how young you were when all that happened, but
Oh
you know,
yeah, the when he
he
I think I know
ran
what you're
over
talking
and a
about.
guy. Yeah, I
Yep.
mean, basically people said he killed a guy. And the media
Yeah.
twisted it in all kinds of different ways, and that was around the time ESPN dropped away from NASCAR, and
Yeah.
that happened. And so I mean, like, you get a lot of this stuff, but there was some kid on Twitter earlier tonight that was like kind of defending Kyle Larson, and it just pissed me off like really bad. And he started like telling me, "Oh, go look back at this story about this driver Brian Scott and Bubba Wallace." And I'm like, "Well, here's the deal. I don't know who Brian Scott is. I've never heard of him, and that's probably why I've never heard of him because if he did say the same thing that Kyle said, that shows you what happens to people like that in this day and
Yeah.
age." But getting forward now, let's say McDonald's pulls out, Credit One pulls out. There's two guys that I have in mind that would take over the 42 at Chip Ganassi Racing. The first one, I think, we might be able to agree on both of them. But the popular call, I've seen everybody on Twitter, they're all talking about Ross Chastain to the 42. We've been seeing him run before Corona took over. We saw him, in Ryan Newman's car. He's not doing too bad. And it is about that time for Ross to take over. We know that he wants a full-time Cup ride. I think that Ross is worthy of a spot at Chip Ganassi Racing. I think he would be pretty good in the 42 if we saw him in there. Who would the sponsor be, though? That's the question. Watermelon Farmers of America?
Yeah. I've made a couple like would you say like fictional paint schemes
Yeah.
of a Ross Chastain like Cup car, you know what I mean? I even did like a Dodge Challenger. But I've been watching Chastain for a while, and I remember he sparked up in the Xfinity series. I think was it like 2017, 2018. He was in the 42 DC Solar car, and that ride got yoinked from him after DC Solar got like bagged for something. I can't remember what it was, something like false. Maybe something about money laundering. I can't remember what it was, but the CEO got like raided by the FBI or something like that, and the brand had to pull their sponsorship, and that ride pretty much got sacked for it, and the Xfinity program fell apart for Chip Ganassi. It was rough, but Chastain didn't let him get him down. He ran the truck series and had a pretty much an unsponsored truck for 75% of the season, and almost pretty much won the whole damn thing. It was amazing, and he just won't let anything stop him.
Yeah,
He's
dude.
always hungry. It's crazy.
And you got to love the fact that anytime he wins a race, he smashes a watermelon.
You gotta love that.
we've talked about this. We've talked about this before on the show, especially when we were playing DFS before the Cup Series was put on hold. We were playing a lot of him in our DFS lineups because he had really good value. His price was really good, and just to see him full time would be good. Just the personality. NASCAR needs more personalities like that, and anytime you can get a guy that's like pretty flamboyant about what he does, and he's out there and he's just being himself, he's a good character. That's that's what we need right now. So I personally, this is a challenge. Like, we'll see how this goes. I would love to see him in a watermelon Airheads 42. That would be sick.
That sounds like a cool scheme idea. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, like just
That'd be
imagine
nice and
like the
colorful. Yeah.
the big like a monochrome green with the
Mhm.
42 and then like the big warhead. Yeah, that would be incredible. The other guy that I think does deserve a shot that got cut short out of Cup racing is Daniel Hemrick. We saw him at RCR running the 8. And of course Tyler Reddick came in. I do think Tyler Reddick is a better fit for the Cup Series right now at that team because, I mean, we just saw him do some incredible stuff in Xfinity. And, I think that Tyler can definitely, do a little bit more with the wheel. And he's I'm not going to sit here and say he's hungrier than Daniel Hemrick by any means because everybody out there is hungry for a win. But
Mhm.
but at the same time, like, I mean, I don't think they made a bad call getting Tyler in there, but it would be good to see Daniel Hemrick get back in the Cup Series, and this could be an opportunity for him to do that, depending on what he could pull through. But with what we did see out of him at RCR, I mean, I know that you're a NASCAR fan as well. You wouldn't be doing all the stuff that you did if you weren't. Do you think that Hemrick would be deserving of that ride?
I always thought Hemrick was a real down to earth guy. I really liked him a lot, and I was really hoping the best for him for the 8 car. But I was always never too hopeful of the equipment. Um, I've always been saying I wish they could give Reddick or Hemrick when he had it, they'd give him the 3 car equipment, maybe rebrand it so it doesn't piss people off, saying it's not Childress, it's not an Earnhardt driving it, just rebrand it to the 29 or something like that, like what it used to be.
Right.
So he'd have better equipment. I mean, right now, Riddick is outperforming that 8 equipment big time. He is being restricted hard, and he needs to be in better. He needs to be in a better car. As far as Hemrick goes, I think he just needs to be at home somewhere. Like he loved that team. He was with an Xfinity. He was performing really really well because it was a really good car and it was a real good team. And when you jump over to it's like changing schools. Your grades are gonna suck when you don't like where you are, right? You're not gonna
Right.
you're not gonna do well. Obviously you want to be with the people that brought you to where you are, and when you're not there, it's just the groove doesn't stick. And with something like NASCAR, you need to be consistent. And Hemrick I mean, he had a pole in Kansas. That was pretty spectacular. I didn't see that coming. I'm not sure how they pulled that one through, or what kind of body manipulation they did the car to get there, but hey.
Yeah, they made it happen that the shoe fits, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, dude, there's so many options, and like I said, it's Monday. By the time you guys are listening to this right now, you're probably already going to know more than we know. So keep that in mind, and definitely let us know what your thoughts are on this. Hit us up at GGFS Podcast. We want to know what you're thinking. Call the hotline 929-430-GGFS. Leave us a message. We'll definitely get to it. But getting off of all that the craziness that's happened over this weekend, I want to talk a little bit about you, man. Like I said earlier in the show, I found you over Twitter. I was scrolling through Twitter one night, and I was, I've been like really branching out in the NASCAR community since I started writing for Rotoballer, and just falling back in love with the sport. I finally got myself where I've got a good bit of knowledge. I've won some tournaments on DraftKings. We're going out to these tracks. We're talking with drivers. We're having a ball. Just genuinely doesn't even feel like I'm working when I'm out there. Like it just feels like we're just, we're fans just having a good time. And, so of course, the more people I follow on Twitter, the more streams I get of people that are in NASCAR Twitter in those communities. And just like the real NASCAR, it's like a family, So, I mean, like we all tend to get along pretty well. I hate way more people on fantasy football Twitter world than I do in the NASCAR Twitter world. So, there's just all kinds of different things, but there seems to be more positivity where we've been. And when I found your stuff, I think one of the first tweets that I saw by you, it was a comment where Dale Jr. had commented underneath a scheme that you did where you redesigned for a Clint Boyer car with Barstool Sports. And I saw where Dale had commented on there, and I saw like what you had did and the changes that you made, and I'm like that's pretty fucking fire. So like this dude is like making these paint schemes. I went back and looked at your account, looked at some of the other stuff that you had been talking about, things you've been doing. I'm like, okay, well this dude knows what the hell he's got going on. And in the back of my mind, I had been just sitting around in my room doing 5-year-old crayon sketches of car schemes, and that wasn't working out for me too well. So I when I ended up hitting you up, man, I was relieved. I got to chat with you a little bit, and we talked, and you ended up making the sexiest car I've ever seen in my life, which is obviously I'm a little bit biased, but it was amazing. But when did all this start for you? And like, what age did you know that this is something you enjoyed doing? How did you get to where you are right now?
Well, obviously, it all started when I started watching NASCAR when God know how old I was. I was in diapers probably. I'd always been a huge racing fan. I grew up in Brooklyn, Michigan, right next to the track. I mean, just a hop, skip, and a jump away from the track.
You were christened in the blood of NASCAR.
Exactly. Yep. My family, big Ford fans. My grandpa was from Kentucky, and my grandma was from West Virginia. So my mom kind of grew up with a bit of a Southern accent, and I had a bit of one as a kid. But as soon as we moved away from Brooklyn, when I was around, I'd say 9 years old, I went from Brooklyn to Tecumseh, and Tecumseh had a bit of a higher tax bracket, and there's a lot of higher society people there. And as soon as I went there, I was asking people what their favorite driver was, and what they like to do, and there was not a single NASCAR fan in that school. So
Right.
kids kind of made fun of how I talked too. They thought I was stupid. So I tried to change the way I talked. It was real hard on me.
Oh,
And
fuck that
right
peer
around,
pressure.
yeah. right, so yeah, like right around when I turned like 11, I stopped watching NASCAR collectively. Like I wanted to be a race car driver. I did BMX and Morency.
Hell
Like,
yeah.
and I tried to do go-karting, but I didn't quite get too into that. But all around, I was just a massive racing fan. Monster trucks, drag racing, NASCAR, of course.
Adrenaline.
And it just kind of it all just kind of fell off when I was like 11. But as soon as I got this laptop when I turned 14, I discovered this game called NR 2003, right? This is an old NASCAR sim by the same people who made Trading Pains, not Trading Pains, iRacing. Same people. And it has the biggest modding community that I could have ever expected from a game this old. There's people making mods from cars in the 70s, the 50s. There's people making cup mods. There's people making mods from the 90s. There's templates to them. And that's the big thing, is these templates. I just started painting them. Like I started putting numbers on them, started putting logos on them. And I was using like an old Photoshop Elements, like 13 program.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kind of kept making them and making them and making them until eventually I got to a point where I started posting them on like forums, and people would review them and people would like them. They would download them and they would recommend you different like programs to use. And I eventually got to a point where I was making like advertisements for my school, and I was just kind of naturally good at it because I'd been spending years making stock cars, and those are pretty much, billboards with four wheels. So
Right.
advertising kind of came easy to me. So I applied to CCS in Detroit, the College for Creative Studies for Advertising Design, and I segued really well into that program for the advertising design aspect. And I continued to design. I continued to work on my craft. Got better programs. Got rendering systems, and I never really hit like a Twitter like ride until I combined that next gen car and the Gen 4 car, and
Mm-hmm.
I used an NR 2003 mod for it, and that one kind of blew up. And the first guy who kind of started talking to me was that Darien guy, Black Flags Matter,
Yeah.
and he started retweeting all my stuff. And then I made his profile pic avatar with my my Wacom tablet, and I
Nice.
started
So you're
taking off.
behind
Yeah,
that.
so
Okay.
I kind of took off from there, and then I saw that Barstool paint scheme that you're talking about, and there was like this one little detail that I hated about it. The quarter panel logo had white text, and the white stroke, like the white outline on the flame, was going straight through it. I'm like, all right,
This doesn't
okay,
fit.
guys, yeah, I don't like this. So then I started fixing it, and I just started adding more and more and more to it. So eventually, I got to a point where I like rendered it on a car, and I presented it. And I'm like, all right, here it is. And then keep in mind, when I posted this, I wasn't by my phone the entire time. I posted this and I went and got a haircut. Right. So I was off my phone for a solid 2 hours. So I had no idea what was brewing on Twitter while I was sitting there getting my hair chopped off. So when I stepped in my car and looked at my notifications and saw Dave Portnoy, Dale Earnhardt Jr., the list went on and on. My music was at like 12 on the way home.
Oh
it
shit.
was it was
Yeah, just
crazy. So yeah, oh my gosh, it was insane, and I just started getting a bunch of followers, and people were congratulating me, and there was a bunch of kids that I went to high school with going, "Are you working with Barstool now?" And I'm like, "Well, no."
Yeah,
you know.
dude. All the people come out the woodworks when that shit starts happening, man. You start
Oh my
making
gosh, yeah,
connections and doing shit. It's like I haven't talked to you in like 4 years. What the fuck do you want?
yeah,
Like,
yeah. It certainly has been some. My family, oh gosh, my mom has been like a crying mess anytime she finds out I'm doing something with NASCAR. Like this whole pro invitational thing has really made her one proud mama. She's
oh
she's
yeah.
always been a NAS fan.
Mama's
She's
always gonna
yeah.
love their babies, dude. Like I
Oh
remember
yeah.
when I got my first XM radio spot, like my mom was like telling everybody, I'm like, Mom, it's just like a 10-minute radio spot, like it's good. Like and
Yeah.
she's like, oh no, baby, no, baby. Like,
Mhm.
she's just normal Southern mom. I mean, you said yours is from West Virginia, so you know how it is. But yeah, dude, I mean, like, but the beauty of it is that it's we're at the end of the day, like we're creatives, man, and like you're using your talents that you've spent so much time. It's like life's all about finding the things that like that you don't mind doing for free. And then when you end up just finding a way to get paid to do those things that you would normally do for free, like it's an amazing deal. And so that's why like it's been and not to mention the incredible work that you do. And I literally I probably just like stroke you like so hard on Twitter because like I'm just always just like so grateful and thankful for like how awesome you made our paint schemes look, man. And then I see all the other work that you're doing. And, you know, like I said, you do Landon Castle's car, you had Bubba Wallace's car, you know, you got the Barstool car. I mean, and I'm sure that you're going to have plenty more coming up. And this isn't the end of the road, dude. Like NASCAR is coming back, man. And people aren't going to forget this, and people aren't going to forget what you're doing, man. So, you know, you're on the right track, dude. I guarantee you 2 years from now, I'm going to be seeing you pretty much at every race, and you're going to be telling some guy that he's putting a wrap on crooked. Because you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
you know, and it's awesome, man. So, I mean, that's what I said. It's just, you know, we got to keep rocking and rolling and just keep working hard. And not only that, but you're also in school right now too. So you got that going on with that. And how much longer do you have in school?
Well, we extended for about another week. So, to be honest with you, I forgot. I probably shouldn't forget these things, but it's been real hard with the shift and to the remote learning. I feel like the amount of work has gotten less, but I also feel like the amount of distractions has significantly increased, especially with, you know, how much work I've been doing commission wise and with NASCAR and whatnot. It's just it's a balancing act. You can't let the scales tip, because when they tip, everything just kind of falls apart. And I've had that happen so many times, but it all depends on how you rebound. You got to rebound. You got to rebound from it. That's all that matters.
Right. That's it, man. You got to keep grinding and keep rolling. And I know you're going to keep doing that, man. And like I said, a lot more great things to come. Super pumped. And just, man, I don't know. Like I said, just keep rock and roll. I'm ready to do some more work with you for sure. And I know we'll be seeing more stuff from you there. But where can everybody follow you at, Noah?
Everyone can follow me on Twitter. That's where I am most of the time, at Noah Sweet 7. Capitalize the N and the S. I don't think that matters though. I am on Instagram, believe it or not. I don't know how I have more followers on Twitter, even though there's less people on Twitter than there are Instagram. But
Right.
I'm there under Noah_C_sweet. I've had that account since I was like in middle school, so it's a bit old. There's a few dated posts on it, so don't make fun of middle school me, please. But yeah, that's just about where I am. I'm probably gonna try streaming soon. I did a test stream about a few weeks ago, so hopefully I can get people involved with the kind of designs I do, and people can maybe learn a thing or two of how I do things, because the way I do things is a bit makeshift. It's not really method. Doesn't look professional, but ends up looking just fine. So it's all about the illusion of making things look good, in my opinion.
There you go, man. Perception is key. Always. Yep. Well, dude, thanks so much for being on. I'm glad that this was your first podcast that you've joined on. So we popped the cherry on Garage Guys, official
All right,
Garage
awesome.
fan for sure. And we're gonna be talking to you real soon, man. But take care and God bless, man. Keep grinding.
You too, man. Thank you.
All right, boys and girls, that is a wrap for NASCAR and for Easter weekend. Holy shit. Crazy stuff talking about. Thanks again to Noah for coming on to the show last minute. I hope you guys enjoyed. Again, you heard where to follow him at, so make sure you do that. And if you're looking to get into the iRacing scene, definitely give him a shout. He is the go-to guy to get all the hottest paint schemes. Dude's got a hell of a craft going on for himself. But let's go ahead and move into our Garage Talk segment. It is Monday, which means we have an episode of WestWorld to recap, and it is Season 3, Episode 5. Title of the episode, Genre. And I'm going to be digging into that episode, letting you know what I thought about it, and I want to hear what you guys are thinking about it. You guys got to use the hotline too, okay? It's time to start using the hotline more. And it's not just for sports. It's not just for fantasy sports. It's not just to ask DFS questions. It's literally for everything. Call me and tell me what the fuck you ate for breakfast. I don't give a shit. 929-430-GGFS. That's the number. Call it. Say something. Scream at me. Tell me who your mom's fucking. I don't care. If it's your dad, I don't want to hear about it, though. But anyway, getting into this show, before we get into this show is brought to you by Rotoballer. Right now, there's not a lot of sports going on in the world, but you know what? Rotoballer is thriving strong and taking hold of the esports DFS world. So if you're into playing CSGO, if you're into playing League of Legends, eNASCAR. I'm writing eNASCAR articles right now, guys. When we got eNASCAR races going on, there's DFS slates to play on DraftKings. Your boy got you covered. You can get over to rotoballer.com right now and use promo code GARAGE to save 10% on your subscription to Rotoballer. Got all the hits. Got all the hits over there. It's like if it was an album, it would be number one on the charts because we're helping people bag tourneys. We're doing awesome shit, and we're finding a way to keep it real during this time without sports. So that's what we do at Rotoballer. Again, rotoballer.com, promo code GARAGE. Hop to it. Sports are coming back anyway. If you get over there now, go ahead and get in on the action. Be there, be square. So let's go ahead and roll into episode 5, genre. I start watching this episode, eating a nice sandwich. Had me a nice turkey sandwich with some chips and an ice cold Mountain Dew. Ended up getting a couple sips into the Mountain Dew, had to drink water. The sugar has been too much for me. Like I said, I'm trying to diet, been trying to run, so I'm doing that. I'm not as fast as Dolores, but I'll get there someday. I didn't get to watch it until late Sunday night. And whenever I started the show, obviously we get this flashback to Sirach and his brother in this Paris that is going through some kind of radiation or something's happening. I don't know. But basically, it starts talking about humanity. And you get this all of a sudden, like this power. I mean, you've already had this power-hungry vibe out of Sirach, but you get way more of a sense of that. And it definitely lets on to making you think a little more outside the box into like what's really happening in this world. You know, at the beginning of every episode, we've been seeing this black circle. We finally get to kind of understand what that is. It's like the sun and the moon aligning, which is basically like his alignment of keeping everything perfect in with this system that they have in the future that basically predicts everyone's outcome and keeps them on this path of his perfect way of humanity, which is totally against everything. But we get a lot of flashbacks in this episode. And we're going back in time. We're going into the circle and it's like loading. And we get to see young Sirach and his brother when they first made this oracle. And, there's another guy that's involved there. And it looked like the young kid that was there or involved in this, which was strange. It looked like the kid that was a rendition or a reprise of Ford when he was a child. That's who the kid reminded me of. And I don't know if that's an Easter egg or what, but it looked like Ford, the robot kid that was in season 1, it looked like that kid. So I don't know if that was a young Ford, but it almost couldn't be a young Ford because like Sirach doesn't seem like he's too old. Like he seems like maybe he's in like his late 40s. So that would have everything all screwed up. It wouldn't make any sense whatsoever unless this is, and I could be going way off right now, guys, but unless that this world that we're in right now is a total simulation inside of this world and they're just living a simulation, which is one of the theories that I've already spoke about on this show, that right now what we're watching is just a simulation. It wouldn't possibly make sense. But that kid is definitely something to watch. I feel like that's something to keep note of. So let me know what you think about that. But, we see him arguing with this guy about he's tired of, of this oracle. He's tired of it not working right or whatever. And then they finally get to the point to where they're showing him like they're predicting the stock market. They're predicting outcomes in the earth. And then, of course, people that are in the inside that have access to that technology, they want to get greedy with it. But it's like, what does Sirach want to do with it? Obviously, Sirach is the most greedy about it, but he tries to act like he's not. So we come out of that, and then we jump right back in from episode 4 where we left off. You've got Caleb and Dolores, and they've got a homeboy with them. I can never remember his name, and I probably should be a better podcast host and look it up, but I'm not going to do that right now. So if you know his name, you know it. If you don't, you don't. But basically, their company's trying to get the bid on Delos as well as Sirach, and we definitely found out that's not Sirach's kid. As of the last episode we recap Westworld, I think that we had stated that that was Sirach's kid. Definitely not Sirach's kid. So they're running away, and then some things get tossed around or whatever. Caleb's trying to detain him, and then Homeboy pops this shit in Caleb's neck, which is some futuristic drug called genre that puts you through these trips that are like movies. So the whole episode is basically Caleb just tripping, going through all this wild shit, like life or death situations, and he's just tripping balls on this future drug called genre. The technology is really cool because there's definitely a technological aspect of the drug getting popped into your neck. And it definitely has to play into some type of it's a very controlled hallucinogenic. So it's not like acid or DMT or something that's introspective. It has a controlled element of it. So it's the same for everybody. So it definitely has to be some type of digital type of deal, which is another thing that leads me to believe that if it's a digital type of drug, then there is computer simulations that are controlling things inside of our bodies or whatever at that point in time. But, we get to see the self-driving motorcycle, the self-driving cars. The cars look really weird. And then Sirach's men start chasing after Dolores, Caleb, and Homeboy. And finally, Homeboy makes the choice to override all the systems, lets them take control of the car, and they get away from the shootout. And then Marshawn Lynch comes back. So we got Marshawn Lynch back with the badass shirt that lights up or whatever mood he's feeling. And then homegirl from SNL. Can't remember her character's name either. So forgive me on that. But they all link up and get together at this point. So they're kind of all working together now. Just for this episode, it seemed. And basically the whole point of this episode was just to showcase Caleb's trip and for Dolores to finally achieve what she is wanting to achieve. So it's almost like a phase one gets started. So basically from there, there's just a lot of action. We get some more flashbacks from Sirach. We get to watch him kind of go back in time and talk about kind of how he got where he was. They killed the other guy that didn't really believe in what they were doing, that was being greedy with it. He crashed one of his jets. We see that flashback. And then Dolores has full mapping of understanding and knowing what happens to everybody now. So she sees that, and she has Sirach's file. So she knows it all now. She's got it all. And of course, we found out that Dolores is all these other characters. The guard for Homeboy is the one that Dolores also is inhabiting, and she's got Bernard, or he's got Bernard with him at that point. With him, her, Dolores, man, Dolores security guard. That's what we'll call him. So Bernard is with him basically the whole episode, and he's trying, Dolores, her, is trying to explain to Bernard why they're doing what they're doing, what's happening, and he gets to make a choice of what side he's on. Well, they ended up delivering. They get it all done. Dolores and all of them, they go get on this train, and then Dolores just completely just explodes anarchy all over the entire world, releasing the technology showing that everyone in the world's lives are basically predetermined, and so all hell breaks loose. And that's when, we see Marshawn and homegirl with him. They kind of disperse. And then that's when I started noticing something. And I don't know if this was done purposely or if this was recently added in, but I saw two people with masks on in this episode. And right now with coronavirus going around and everything, it was just kind of odd that there was just these two people that had masks on. First, there was a guy chilling in the subway that had a black mask over his face. And then when Bernard and Stubbs were on the escalator coming down, there was a woman behind them wearing a black face mask. Looks just like a N95 mask. And so I thought it was kind of odd that was there. So if that is the case, then, the producers of WestWorld would have had to went in and add that recently. And maybe they did that as some kind of Easter egg, but I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot of that on the Reddit forums. If you're not following WestWorld Reddit, I highly recommend you get over there and do that. But yeah, so basically where we're at now is, Caleb goes to these trips. The first trip's like a black and white movie trip. Then it goes into this action type deal. Then it goes into a love scene where like she's like shooting at these guys that had flipped over in a car, Sirach's men, and he's like just staring at her like in love. It would have been way better if the song was playing that was like Lady Ho. That would have been way more fitting, in my opinion. But it wasn't. And Marshawn warns him of like the final trip is like the worst. And by the end of the episode, when all hell is broken loose, anarchy's out, he asked him, like, what genre is this? And he said, it's reality. And it's crazy that we saw the world, where it is now. Dolores' plans unfolding. The moon and the sun are getting out of alignment. Sirach's pissed. But we also learn more about the plot and what this Oracle thing really is, and this whole system of insight that is what Sirach owns is basically just controlling people. And then we also got a glimpse that maybe everything we know about Caleb isn't true, because they have these rehabilitation type rooms or chambers, and Sirach even had to put his own brother in one. And we saw a lot of flashbacks when Homeboy got shot on the beach and was dying, where he had saw what Caleb really was, and he was just like freaked out, was walking away from him, was kind of like just scared looking. And towards the end, we see Caleb having flashbacks of, the character that was in the beginning of the show, that is his friend that died, Kid Cudi. Now I'm wondering if he's not even real, if all that was just planted into his head, and he's got that nano sensor in his mouth. Maybe that's something that's put in those rehabilitation things to keep people like him in check. But we saw a scene where Caleb had some old guy that had a bag over his head, and it looked like he maybe was in the mafia or a gang, and he pulled him there to kill him. So we're going to learn a lot more. Like, Caleb obviously doesn't know who he is. And these little rooms that Sirach has set up is obviously some kind of rehabilitation for certain types of people, maybe that just don't fit, into society. And he's wanting to make this utopian society, basically, is what Sirach's done. So it's going to be interesting to see what we find out really and truly about who Caleb really is. Maybe he's going to switch it all up and be somebody really bad against Dolores. There's really no telling what's happening. The writer's doing a great job with it this season so far. Like I said, episode 4 of this season was incredible. But episode 5 was a really good follow-up. I enjoyed the episode. I thought it was really cool. I love the way that they pulled everything together. Like I said, I saw some tweets that a couple of people didn't think this was the best episode. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it gave a lot of insight, no pun intended, to what's really happening in the world, because that's what we're all trying to figure out right now. It's like, is this a simulation that they're in, or is this the real world? And I'm leaning more towards this is a simulation. And just seeing that kid that looked just like the Robert Ford robot child from season 1 really makes me wonder if that was a flashback of way, 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 way back in the past. And all this shit was going on around the same timeline. And then Ford got a little bit older. He created his own AI humans after Insight was created. And then that's where the timeline all goes. And then maybe we're somewhere so far off into the future that maybe Dolores doesn't even know. I could go for hours on theories, guys. One theory that I'll just say that just came off the top of my head: what if we're in a world right now that is all the humans are in a simulation and AI already runs the world? Crazy shit to think about. There's so many different things you can do and piece together. And like I said, I could talk for hours, and I want to hear what you guys are thinking. If you guys are watching WestWorld, please call in 929-430-GGFS. Call that number. Give us your theories. Let us know what you're thinking. I will play them on every Monday's episode. We'll start integrating them to Friday's episode. I'll just literally do live streams on Periscope and play them and talk about them with you guys. I have all the time in the world on my hands right now, and I've been busier than ever with Garage Guys. I've been busier than ever with content, and I'm trying to make sure that we're putting out great stuff for you guys, for the listeners. We want you to keep sharing, keep telling people about us. Tell people that to follow us on social media, subscribe to the podcast, rate and review. It's not just all about fantasy sports at the end of the day. We got a lot of other interests, and we want to know what your interests are. We're here for you. We're here for the Garage Fam, and we love our listeners. And I love you guys so much and appreciate you guys for sticking by us every day, all the time. No better people in the world than the Garage Fam. Love the shit out of you guys. And again, let me know what your thoughts are on this episode genre. Hit me up on Twitter at Garage Guy Chase. You can hit us up at GGFS Podcast. And, of course, you can hit Drew up at Chef Boyardeen. And We're everywhere. We're on Insta. We're on TikTok. Hit me up on TikTok at Garage Guy Chase. Make a TikTok of what you think happened. That'd be kind of weird, but do it anyway. Fuck it. Who cares? But been a great show, episode 153 again. Big shout out to Noah Sweet. You guys be sure to go follow him. And we will be back for episode 154 on Friday. And I'm sure we'll have a lot more news on the Kyle Larson situation and everything else that's going on. And hopefully we'll be talking a little bit of Ozark, finishing up that second half of our discussion of the season. So going to be fun to see what we got cooking up. But again, love you, Garage Fam. Have a kick-ass week. Sports, party, repeat.
It's the Garage Guys. 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 It's the Garage Guys.